Hello everyone, I'm Taha Kehar and I'd like to thank The Bridge for giving me the opportunity to talk a bit about my new novel, No Funeral for Nazia. No Funeral for Nazia was published in the UK in October 2023 by Neem Tree Press and has just been released in a Pakistani edition with a different cover by Liberty Books. This is a rather unusual book, and I say it as the author of this book. It's about a woman named Nazia Sami. She's a celebrated Pakistani writer, fictitious, of course, and from the very first page, she's dead. Instead of a funeral, she asks her sister Noreen to invite 6 of her friends, including a mystery guest, to a party. We don't know what's going to happen at this party, but it's going to help her friends understand Nazia's legacy, how to preserve it, and perhaps even understand something about themselves. This was a very unusual premise for me, and I often wonder where it came from. And the only answer I can find to that question is that as a society, perhaps even a South Asian society, it's very rare for us to have conversations, meaningful and constructive conversations about death. In fact, some of us don't want to speak about that topic because it's morbid, it requires us to question our legacy and confront our mortality. But I wanted to explain that concept to myself. And I also wanted to explore how effective alternative means of grieving can be. Beyond that, this novel is technically a mystery novel. It's got a slightly postmodern touch to it, and I wouldn't say it follows the cliched formula that mystery novels tend to apply, but it has a touch of mystery to it. So before I give up too much information, I just thought I'd read a short portion from my novel. I'll try not to read from the beginning because I feel that could also give too much away. But at the same time, I want to give you a sneak peek into what this party is all about. So let me dive into this. This is somewhere in the first 40 pages of the book, and we're at this party that Nazia wants her sister to throw for her. Whose idea was it to have a party instead of a funeral? Farid asked. I think it's absolutely brilliant. You must have saved a fortune. Don't say that, Farid, Dolly responded, but mortified by her husband's insensitive remark, especially after their conversation in the car on the way over. Noreen stared impassively at her guests and heaved a loud sigh to indicate her displeasure. Farid's smugness was irritating, but hospitality prevented her from telling him off. I think you did the right thing, Parveen's voice ricocheted through the drawing room. People spend so much on funerals these days. They're such impersonal affairs. You can't even grieve openly, she paused, tilted her neck back and chugged her wine, leaving red drops on her chin. Mrs. Sadiq, my neighbor, attended a male colleague's funeral some weeks ago, she continued, sloppily rubbing her knuckles against her lips. They had worked together for 29 years at the bank and had become such good friends. But poor Mrs. Sadiq just couldn't cry at the funeral. She didn't want her colleague's wife to become suspicious. As it is, Mr. Sadiq is the jealous sort and had insisted on accompanying her to the funeral. Imagine what he would think if he found his wife crying at some other man's funeral. Noreen guffawed happily as she heard the story. Something about Mrs. Sadiq's dilemma seemed to make her lose her equanimity and urbane refinement. Had she been hosting a funeral, such behavior would have been frowned upon as a sign of disrespect towards the deceased. But this was different. Through her unconventional demands, Nazia had released her from the constraints of mourning and its etiquettes. For the first time, Noreen admired Nazia's benevolence, the freedom that her death had provided them. She could be herself or whoever else she wanted to be. So yes, this is a short snippet from my novel, No Funeral for Nazia. It's going to be out at bookstores all over Pakistan with a different cover, as I said. The cover is black and white and has a hypnosis wheel on it. I'm going to try not to give too much away at this stage, but I hope you enjoy the book. And once again, thank you to the Bridge for giving me this opportunity to share my insights and this reading with you. Thank you.